It was a quiet week of rugby. However, we had the first week of the New Zealand NPC. The Currie Cup rolled on. And we have a champion of champions from women's club rugby in Australasia. Hello and welcome to the Rugby Roundup with Big Mike here on the 5th of August 2026. It is I, Big Mike, here at Big Mike Rugby to talk to you about all the things that happened and all the things that are going to happen in our beautiful game. And on top of that, this weekend we have the start of rugby's greatest rivalry tour of New Zealand touring South Africa, and a couple of more internationals to look forward to as well. But enough of all that. Let's get to the roundup. And we will start with women's club rugby, and it was the Super W Australian champion Waratahs hosting the Super OPK champions from New Zealand, the Blues. Many were expecting a big blowout here by the Blues women, who won this one comfortably a year prior. But the Waratahs started by scoring early before the Blues took a bit more control, going into halftime 17-12 in the lead. A converted try 54 minutes in gave the Blues a comfortable 24-12 lead before the Waratahs scored a try of their own to make it 24-17. It was a tough last 15 minutes for both teams. Waratahs desperate to cross over the line. Blues trying to score any points to go ahead by more than a converted try. The Blues in the end won this one 24-17. They were on top in the penalties and in the rucks, and the defence held firm. The Blues, your ultimate super champions for 2026. Round 3 of the Currie Cup hit us last weekend, and there are no more undefeated squads and just one team who hasn't had a victory. So we saw the Griqois go up against the Cheetahs. They won this one 24-21 after leading 17 points to 7 at half-time. The Stormers got a much-needed victory as the Stormers 23 beat a Sharks 15, up 19-14 at half-time. The Stormers won this one 36-28. I can see how the 23 and the 15 would have been confusing. Speaking of silly numbers, the Bulls 15 lost to the Lions. This one ended up being 42 points to 19. Lions were up 35-0 after 42 minutes. In the final game of the weekend, the Boomers defeated the Boland Cavaliers 20 points to 15. So, looking at the table, the Lions are up top on 12 points, followed by the Griqois and Cheetahs on 11, and the Boland Cavaliers are on 10. Close behind them, Stormers 23 on 9, the Boomers on 7, the Sharks 15 on 6, and at the bottom of the table are the Bulls 15, just with 1. This weekend sees a top of the table clash. It's the Griqois host the Lions. We've also got the Bulls taking on the Boomers, the Sharks taking on the Boland Cavaliers, and just 2 days after their top squad take on the All Blacks, the Stormers are facing the Cheetahs. To the New Zealand NPC now in the 50th anniversary season, which saw some absolute beauty. Uniforms used on the weekend. What did our first week give to us? Waikato started the season well. Perfect start of their season, beating the Bay of Plenty 38 points to 26. And this was after leading at halftime 35 points to 0. Big one. Big one. It was Tasman versus North Harbour. That's right. And this one was back and forth and back and forth. Halftime was 19-15 to Tasman. And then North Harbour kept scoring converted tries but couldn't quite get back in the game. This one finished 31 points to 29. Only thing in it was a single conversion. Tasman with the victory. Unfortunately for Counties Manukau, they started the season with a 20 points to 5 loss to Taranaki, but they did a lot better than people were expecting and can be proud of coming back into this one and fighting at home. It was the 250th meeting between Southland and Otago as Invercargill hosted a goodie, but the Otago squad, who are looking absolutely fire, led at halftime 29 points to 7 before taking this one 41-14. Absolute heartbreak for me in the next game as Canterbury hosted Auckland. Canterbury were up 14-0, then it was 14-all. And then at halftime, 26 points to 21 to Canterbury. My beloved Auckland fought their way back. They were leading 31-26 at the 60th minute mark. Then the star, Richie Mo'unga, came on to the field. A try for Canterbury and a missed conversion by Richie made this one 31-all for 10 minutes before the sneaky little devil himself scored the match-winning try and conversion. Canterbury beating my beloved Auckland 38-31. Then, in a game where we can't tell if the winner was just clinical or the loser was just poor or maybe both, Northland started their season with a huge 40-14 victory over Manawatu. They did not concede a single point in the second half. In the final game of the weekend, Wellington hosted Hawke's Bay. This was a Wellington squad loaded with talent, but they were down 31-14 at the half and ended up losing 52 points to 33. After 1 week, Otago leads, but they are one of 6 teams who scored bonus point victories on the weekend. Those being Otago, Northland, Hawke's Bay, Waikato, Canterbury, and Tasman. Taranaki, the only winners last week who did not get the bonus point. Teams at the bottom of the table without a single point: Counties Manukau, Manawatu, and Southland. So let's look forward to the games this weekend. 2 teams who lost last week start the weekend, as North Harbour host Counties. In last year's game, North Harbour won by 3 points. The year before that, Counties won by 3. These 2 teams are very close in the last few seasons, both a little bit disappointing last year. Then we have a fun one as Taranaki take on Waikato. This one is quite a big clash in uniforms. Hopefully someone does something a little bit different. Both teams started out with a victory last weekend and are looking to remain undefeated. The last 2 games between these 2 squads, Waikato have won by a single point. Auckland hosts Wellington on Saturday afternoon. This one's exciting for my fellow Aucklanders, even though I'm not home. This one's going to be at Western Springs Stadium, and it is a big celebration of all things rugby. There are things for the kids. They're going to set up terraces. It's going to feel a little bit old school, but Auckland have got a very bad streak going against Wellington, losing their last 5. And not by small margins either. Wellington were a bit disappointing last weekend. And in an interesting move, they have named Duplessis Karifi, the out-and-out 7 who did not get named in the All Blacks. They've put him at 12. Bay of Plenty hosts Northland in the following game. Both teams. Not both teams, sorry. Northland started out huge. Bay of Plenty disappointing. The last few games between these guys have been close, with the exception of their game 2 years ago, in which the Bay of Plenty won by 40. Hawke's Bay taking on the Tasman Mako. Wow, both teams got victories last weekend, and their last few games have been back and forth and back and forth. The last winner between these two was 2 years ago in 2024, with Tasman winning by a point. Canterbury and Otago. This is a repeat of last year's grand final. Canterbury looked a little bit disappointing against a stronger Auckland squad, where Otago ran through Southland. Otago, remember, are my pick to win this season, so let's see how they go. They are hosting Canterbury. That score in the final last year was 36 points to 28. But remember, Otago got the famous victory in last season's regular season game, 38 points to 36. The added bit of spice to this game, it's for the Ranfurly Shield. Manawatu and Southland, two teams who had big losses last weekend. Southland won the game last year. And that is the NPC this weekend. We also have one international women's game this weekend as Fiji take on South Africa in Suva. Now, South Africa just came off their 2-game series, 1 win and 1 loss against the USA. South Africa will also be hosting the Black Ferns of New Zealand before one of the New All Black Springboks games coming up. This is the first of 2 test matches between these two nations. All right, now let's talk about the start of rugby's greatest rivalry tour as New Zealand take on the Stormers. Interesting from the South African club teams is that their Instagram pages and their social medias aren't mentioning these All Blacks games too much. So it'll be interesting to see what teams they play, especially with the Stormers also playing 2 days later in the Currie Cup. As of recording, Stormers have not named their squad. I doubt that there'll be many Springboks in this one, but who knows, maybe some of the fringe players will be playing, even though the South Africans are in Argentina. The All Blacks are, of course, coming off their 3 big victories earlier in the year, beating France, Italy, and Ireland. This is their first of 3 club teams that they will face before their first game against the Boks. The Stormers, as in their top squad, were losing semi-finalists in the United Rugby Championship, going down 20 points to 11 in the semi-final to eventual winners Leinster. And depending on when we record next week's episode, Wednesday morning New Zealand Australia time, Tuesday evening South Africa time, the All Blacks are taking on the Sharks. And the Sharks came 10th out of 16 in the URC. All Blacks coach has said in the 3 warm-up games, or 3 tour games before the first Springboks test, every member of the 44 player squad, will be getting game time. If you are listening to this on Thursday morning New Zealand Australia time, then the All Black squad would have already been announced for the game against the Stormers. In other international games, we have Japan taking on Australia, the first of 2 tests, this one being held in Japan. Last time these 2 teams met was in October last year, with Australia scraping to a 1915 win. This is the first game for Australia under new head coach Les Kiss. Australia went 1 from 3 in their games in July, beating Italy 57 points to 10, and Japan also went 1 from 3, beating Italy 27 points to 10. It'd be very interesting to watch this one, I'm thinking. Then in our final international game of the weekend, we have the Pumas hosting the Springboks. Springboks are on one heck of a streak and won their 3 July games against England, Scotland and Wales, while the Pumas only bet Wales, going down to Scotland and England. Last year's 2 games between these squads in the Rugby Championship had the big victory, 67-30 to the Springboks, and a much closer 29-27 victory to South Africa, who are going into this one having won 4 of the last 5 meetings. This is South Africa's last game before they take on the All Blacks. Argentina are going to have a few weeks off before a 2-test series against Australia. And that, folks, is it for this weekend's rugby and last weekend's rugby as well. Nice short episode this week. And if I were to give you Big Mike's big 3 games, as in if you've only got time to watch one, follow one, see one, whatever, what 3 games would I give to you? Out of our international rugby games, I'm going to go Japan versus Australia. This one's got a few weaving threads through it. What's Eddie Jones doing with Japan? They looked great in those 3 games, earlier in the season, but they let Ireland and France run away from them. Australia, new coach, potentially new direction, a little bit of hope. Came close against Ireland, poor second half against France. Australia really need to win these 2 games to go into Argentina strong. From the NPC, our game of the week is going to be the Ranfurly Shield clash between Otago and Canterbury, 2 teams who had great victories last week, and our repeating finalists from last year. And for our 3rd game this week, we'll go to the Currie Cup with the top of the table clash between the Griqois and the Lions. And that's it for a short rugby roundup with Big Mike this week, first weekend of August, kick-starting the true Southern Hemisphere season of delicious rugby internationals. We aren't too far away from the start of a few other competitions as well that we'll be getting to in the upcoming weeks and months. But for now, how about you all go and have a beautiful week and watch some beautiful rugby. Ba, 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 da, ba, ba.